Welcome to Jersey's finest foodies. I'm your host, retired Detective Lieutenant John Kerner. On this week's episode, I'd like to welcome retired Denville Police Sergeant Matthew Kazaba. Matt dedicated 30 years of his life to law enforcement. So why don't you join us while we grab a bite to eat at one of Matt's favorite restaurants, Caffe Navona. So let's go inside and meet Matt. All right, Matthew, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you, John. Good to see you again.
So, I'm very excited to talk to you. Let's let the audience know what you ordered for us today.
Well, I got a simple gnocchi with a vodka bolognese. I'm sorry, vodka sauce.
Okay, so it's gnocchi with vodka sauce.
Yeah, which is kind of different from what I normally would have.
I don't know if I've ever had gnocchi with vodka sauce, so I'm looking forward to tasting this.
Same here.
Wow. The gnocchi is cooked perfectly. The vodka sauce is, oh my God, so creamy.
Nice.
Good
nice.
choice. Oh my God, that's excellent. Excellent. All right, now let's give the audience a taste of your career. Where did it all begin?
Well, it all began, I'll go way back. When I was 16 years old, I was a police explorer, so that was my first introduction to police work. At 18, I became a special officer in the town I grew up in. And, you know, I kind of followed, and I had an older brother that was a police officer in the town I grew up in. So that's where I kind of was exposed to it.
Okay.
You know, and there was a point, you might like this story, that I was working as a mechanic in a garage. And I remember a cop came in, one of my brother's friends, he probably had 7 years on, totally had his act together, super squared away. He comes into the gas station, shiny police car, big chrome bumper, and he's chatting. It's a really hot day. And he goes over to the old soda machine. Remember the ones that had the doors you opened up and you pulled the lever, the old Coke machines? Mm-hmm. And he gets a Coke. And I remember him standing there distinctly with his foot up on the bumper. He's got his Ray-Ban sunglasses on.
Looked really cool.
Looked really cool. And he says, you know, it's too hot, I'm leaving here. And I thought to myself, what am I doing here? I want to be that guy. So that's where I kind of really said, this is what I want to do.
All right, cool. And what was your first police department? Where'd you start?
I started in Rockaway Borough, and I did a total of only 17 months with the Rockaway Borough Police Department. And then, thankfully, I got a job and I went to Denville. And at the time, I doubled my salary.
From Rockaway?
From Rockaway Borough, and I was making $500 a year more than the senior most sergeant.
Wow.
In Rockaway.
What year was that?
1986.
Okay.
When I came. And believe it or not, in 1986, with that raise, I went to Air Chevrolet in Dover and bought a beautiful blue Camaro Z28 IROC.
Wow.
Just with the raise alone.
That's amazing.
So it was a great move. I'm happy that I did it.
And during your time in Denville, how long did you work in Denville then?
Well, you know, probably 28 years.
Okay.
I started on patrol like everybody does, loved it. At some point in my career, I got promoted, and I was in the detective bureau. You were a detective, right. So you know that's a whole different way of policing or things that you do, but you learn a lot.
Yes.
So when I got promoted to sergeant, it really helped having been in the detective bureau.
Definitely.
You know, with solving crimes and managing situations. And then I did some time as an administrative sergeant, which was kind of boring, you know, like a house cat or a rubber gunner, you might call them.
Yep.
But the last 2 years of my career, I went back on the road. Although I was a little bit older, I didn't want to work nights. It brought me back to where I started, and that's where I wanted to be, you know, policing on the road, doing that and supervising younger officers.
Awesome. And that's how you retired as a sergeant?
I did.
What year did you retire?
Technically 2015, but I burned up my terminal time, and I left June of 2014.
Awesome.
So, you know, close to 11 years.
Yeah. Sounds like a really great career.
It was good. You know, I call it the greatest show on earth.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you mentioned, my next question was if you followed in the footsteps of any family members, and you mentioned your brother.
Right. My brother was a patrolman in the town I grew up in. He eventually retired as chief of police, and then I had two older cousins that were in law enforcement. Okay. One was in Passaic, one was in another Morris County Police Department.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Randolph Township.
Randolph, okay, so that's where he was chief.
Correct,
awesome.
correct.
Good. How do you feel about the current state of law enforcement today?
Well, you know, where we are in Morris County, I don't think it's so bad. We see a lot of young cops that they might be a little bit more worried about, you know, cameras, lawsuits, things of that nature, versus when we started, you know, we knew that you know, we were supported by our departments, county prosecutors, and we wouldn't be unfairly treated. So I think in some places it may be worse, maybe some inner cities, you know, departments, but I still think it's a pretty good job if you're cut out to do it.
Yeah, you definitely have to be cut out for it. It's not,
Right.
it's not an easy job.
No.
Do you have of all your time from between whether it's Rockaway or Denville, do you have like a favorite memory of on the job?
Well, I have several particular memories, but always enjoyed, the Denville Police Department always was a tight-knit group. You know, earlier days, if a guy had to put a garage or a roof on his house, the guys from the PBA went to his house and helped him out. We had a lot of parties, promotional parties, summer picnics. So that camaraderie socially, but also the culture where everybody was in it when it went bad. You may not get along with a guy great, but when things went bad, we all joined in. And that's how you did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the beauty of police
That
work.
was the beauty of police work. A lot of people, personalities don't get along, but
Right.
when it comes down to it, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, and I think that's pretty universal with most good departments.
I think so. What about your proudest moment as a law enforcement officer?
I think satisfying or proudest was probably simply being promoted to sergeant, having my wife there and my daughter holding the Bible, because I never aspired to be the chief of police, but I said I want to be a supervisor at some point, supervise young officers, and try to teach them what I've learned
Right.
from the greats that taught me.
Right. So as you moved up and you were taught by
Correct.
veterans, you were that veteran supervisor now teaching them.
Right, and I try to take from each sergeant that I had and lieutenant bits and pieces,
Right.
you know, to try to do things the best way.
Yeah, great. That's a good way of looking at it. We've all been on some crazy calls. What was maybe the most outlandish or just absolutely insane call that you've ever been on?
Well, I hope you're ready for this.
I am.
One day I come into work, it was a Saturday, and I'd taken some comp time. I came in a little bit later in the day. I get to headquarters, get to the desk, and a dispatcher says, "Sarge, you need to go to Indian Lake," and gives me the address. Two guys on the scene, and they want you there. So I rush over there, not knowing what it is. And we get to the house, and the officers tell me, "There's a woman here, older woman. She may have some dementia, not sure what her mental state is, but she was constipated, believe it or not, and she decided to spray Lysol spray in her butt."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty bizarre. And then inserted a toothbrush in the same place, and then couldn't get it out. Now, the young officers said that the woman was demanding that they help remove it.
Right.
And I said, absolutely not.
Right.
We're not doing
No.
that. No. So I said, no, we're going to call the fire department, the rescue squad, and we're going to put her on a stretcher,
Right.
on her stomach.
Yes.
And so that one kind of stuck with me as kind of an odd call.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
We've-
clearly,
we-
I'm sure unfortunately, she probably was suffering some.
Oh, absolutely.
some sort of dementia.
Writhing in pain.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
But,
well, no, that definitely qualifies for outlandish.
Yeah, yes, it does. You're right.
Oh, goodness. Poor woman. If you could change one law today, what would it be?
What comes to mind is probably bail reform. I think that's one of the biggest things that's changed how things are. For example, the Sussex County Sheriff's Department doesn't even operate their jail anymore. People that get sent to county jail go to Morris County.
Okay.
So I think that would change some things.
Okay.
I don't think it's a good law.
No, I agree. The no cash bail, nothing like that, people right on the street.
Correct.
In hours.
Correct.
I agree with you. If you were 21 years old, would you choose a career in law enforcement today? If yes, why? If not, why not?
I think yes, still. You know, we see officers getting hired that still want to do a good job. They're in it for a self-satisfaction. At times it can be a decent salary with decent benefits and, you know, a pension. So if you're the type of person that wants to go out and do that, I mean, like I said, it's the greatest show on earth. You can go out and you can work really hard, or maybe find a spot, a niche. Maybe you want to do DWIs or find drugs or guns or whatever your thing is. You make it your own. So I still think it's a pretty good job. It's a noble job.
What would be a piece of advice you would give a young man or woman that's, that wants to go into law enforcement?
Well, there's a lot of things, obviously. You always want to be in great physical shape to protect yourself and others. The job can be very demanding, from, maybe lifting a stretcher up or, fighting in a bar. But this is not the job that you get a lot of pats on the back.
Right.
I would tell them that you need to be in this because you want to be a police officer, not because you think it's just a nice job. Because the self-satisfaction is when you do a good job and you can look back and say, I did a good job on that case or that arrest or helping that person in some way. That's where the self-satisfaction comes in. So you need to be that type of guy.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent advice, actually. You're not going to get, like I said, pats on the back.
No, not at all. It doesn't happen often.
No, definitely not. I want to ask you about this one call, actually, because I remember from years ago, it affected my commute for a long time. I don't even remember what year it was. You could tell me. Where there was a gas tanker, semi, whatever you want to call it, that crashed on
I remember that call. I remember the call.
Denville, that the entire highway was on fire and it was shut down for a long time. Tell me about that call. I need to know about what happened there.
Well, you remember working midnights. It's 6 o'clock, and you just can't wait for the day shift to come in. And the officers, all the reports are done. We're kind of hanging in the squad room, just waiting, for time to tech. And our dispatcher calls, and he simply said, "Get everybody up to Route 80. It's on fire."
That's how he said it?
Just what he said.
Get to Route 80, it's on fire.
Period. Later on, the first guy that pulled out, and our headquarters is near Route 80, he would tell me that he looked up and saw a plume of smoke, and he thought to himself, this is really bad. We get up there, there's 2 tractor trailers involved, and a gasoline tanker.
Wow.
Both tractors had some type of cloth material or something. They had split open. They were totally engulfed in flames. Tires were popping. Now, you've heard tires pop off a car in a car fire, but when they pop with a truck, it's really loud. Thankfully, everybody survived. One driver was ejected from the truck. He was somewhat seriously injured, but survived. But the craziest part is the tanker went over the center divider, the concrete divider, and caught on fire. And it actually was on top of a storm drain that led to what's called the Denbrook. And it's a brook, not a river, not a stream. A brook is right in the middle, a good flow. And the entire brook underneath the highway was on fire.
So the
gasoline was floating on top. It was
brook?
floating on the top. It was on fire. We've got the trucks on fire. Quite the scene. To the point we were in multiple fire departments. Before the state police got there. Picatinny Arsenal came down because they have, foam trucks, and it was just a catastrophe. But what happened was the immense heat from the fire weakened, or I'm going to say melted, the steel structure, and that's why Route 80 was shut down for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
As you know, you either took Route 46 or Route 10. But the whole Northeast was shut down.
No, I remember it affected my commute for a long time. That's why I had to ask you about that, because I knew it was in Denville, so I had to find out what happened.
And lastly, one officer said to me when he saw the tanker, he says, "Dear God, I hope that's milk." We think about the placards and chemicals and things like that. So
and everybody
survived
that crash.
but it was chaos.
Amazing. Wow, that is some story. What's one thing that you miss about working?
Look, we all had our glory days when it was fun and you were on top of your game doing that. It's an exciting profession because you're riding around a police car back at headquarters, and all of a sudden you get that big call, the big one, and you go right into full battle mode, warrior mode, and the adrenaline's pumping. That's the fun part of it, but also the camaraderie. You spend a lot of times with the other officers. You know about their family, their children, things that happen in their life. You eat meals together. You see bad things, but the camaraderie is one of the biggest things that I miss.
Yeah, I agree. You make some really good friends, and
absolutely
keep in touch with them after retirement.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, well, we're going to move into the fun questions right now. These are just a little rapid fire fun questions. All right, so the first fun question is going to be, what's your favorite cop movie?
Well, I'm going to go old school.
Okay.
and it was Fort Apache, the Bronx. If you
Wow.
remember that. That was old school.
That was old school. Okay.
Thinking about the 70s and how
Yep.
New York City was kind of like it is now.
Yeah, right.
But that's one of the old timers
Yeah,
that
I
stand
saw
out.
that was a long time ago. I haven't seen that in a long time, but good
right.
choice.
Yeah.
Bad
Bad Boys, we saw that.
Yep.
Things like that.
Okay.
There's been some greats.
All right, good. What about your favorite New Jersey actor?
Listen, everybody loves Joe Pesci.
That's correct. He's
Right.
one of my favorites.
Jack Nicholson. I guess he, Manasquan boy. Manasquan guy.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Manasquan
Really?
High School. That's where he's from.
I had no idea.
Now you know.
Good. That's a good choice.
Right.
What about your favorite New Jersey musician?
Look, I like Bon Jovi. I don't agree with his politics.
Right.
But he's good. You can't take it away
You
from
can't
him.
argue.
Even the same thing with Springsteen.
Yep. Okay.
But then, I loved Whitney Houston's music. She
Exactly.
was phenomenal. It's a
was.
shame that she, left us
Yes, absolutely.
so early
Yeah.
in her life.
Really, no, a voice unlike any other.
Absolutely.
What about your favorite New Jersey comedian?
Currently, Vic DiBenedetto.
Okay.
All right. But also, we think about, let's go back, we got Abbott and Costello.
Mm-hmm.
He was from, I believe, Patterson.
Right, I believe you're right. Yes.
Right. Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
Jersey
Angry
boy.
Cliffs, yep.
There's a few,
All right.
big ones.
Good choices. What's your favorite New Jersey destination? Where, out of any place in the state of New Jersey, where do you like to travel to?
Look, we have great beaches. There's nothing like the Jersey Shore.
Right.
So I would say Point Pleasant, Lavalette.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
a Jersey thing.
Good choice. Good choice.
Down the shore.
Down the shore, of course. You're not going to the beach. You're going
No.
down the shore. What about your favorite alcoholic beverage?
If I'm out, there's nothing like a really nice martini.
Okay.
And this place makes great dirty martinis. Absolutely.
I'll have to try it.
You do.
What about your coffee? How do you take your coffee?
Back in the day, we called it regular. Milk and
just
sugar.
Milk and sugar. That's how you took it all the time.
Round doing cream and Truvia.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Whether it happened while you were working or not working.
I stopped Phil Sims for speeding on the 46
So
when he was
while you were
playing.
working.
Right,
Really?
so I was working and he was still playing. Of course I'm going to let him go.
Yeah.
But in person, just meeting like that
Yeah, good.
was him.
Actually, quick fun fact about Phil Sims. He in Lyndhurst.
Right.
We had these tennis courts, Little League fields, and during the Little League games, he was playing tennis at the tennis courts. And
Really?
all the kids went running over to him. He signed autographs. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
that's a fun fact.
So obviously before I lived in the area.
Yeah, he lived nearby. Do you have a famous crush? Any famous?
I don't know where to begin. No, over the years, I always had this thing about Courtney Cox on Friends.
Okay.
And even Jennifer Aniston.
Right. Yeah.
So those are biggies.
Okay.
And Uma Thurman. She was great in
Okay.
Pulp Fiction.
Great in Pulp Fiction.
Kill Bill.
Yep. Fun fact about Jennifer Aniston: she's the most famous person I ever met.
Really?
They did a film in Lyndhurst,
Okay.
and I escorted her from her trailer to the restaurant.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a picture of it too.
Beautiful.
All right, last fun question.
Sure.
Let's see, I don't know what you're going to say to this, but it's a very important debate. Is it tail of ham or pork roll?
Let's be real. It's Taylor Ham.
All right. Very good.
No doubt about it.
So far, we're 4 for 4 with the tail of ham on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. It's because we're in the north.
Yeah, we are in the northeast. All right. Well, listen, Matt, this was a blast. Thank you so much for coming
job.
on and telling me about your career and telling some great stories.
I appreciate it, John. It's been great. Thank you.
And I want to thank Marco from Caffe Navona. Come see Marco. Please order the gnocchi with vodka sauce. Is absolutely amazing, and everything else, and Dirty Martini. If you like your alcoholic beverages. And that's it. We'll see you next time on Jersey's Finest Foodies. Thanks for tuning in. All right, we're going to continue eating this, Matt. This is delicious.